When I was 18, the dramatic, blood-related story of the upper class found its way to me. My biological mother cried, "Daughter, please come back to me." A girl in a white dress nervously held my mother's hand, casting a deceptively gentle gaze at me. "Sister, Mom is already so upset, don't anger her further. Please come home with us." Seeing her face, identical to that of my foster mother, I scoffed. "Whose sister are you supposed to be? That's ridiculous." When my biological parents came looking for me, I was busy selling pancakes, my hands never idle. The school gate, right after classes, was always my busiest time. High school students in their uniforms crowded around my pancake cart, casually tossing coins into the change box. Jenny, can I have an extra egg and sausage? I'll be back for it later." "Jenny, that guy and I want the same thing." "Jenny, I just want one egg, but extra chili, please." I worked nonstop. "All right, I'll get them ready for you all." The egg pancake vendor next to me shot me a disdainful, accusatory look. That girl, still full of energy all day. Ever since I started selling here, her already bleak business had worsened. I paid her no mind, swiftly cracking eggs and spreading the batter evenly before it set. In the midst of my busy work, I glanced up, raising my voice. "How strange. Where's that barking coming from?" The high schoolers around me burst into delighted laughter. "She's talking about you, the helpless egg pancake vendor." The woman's face paled as she pulled her cart back. A young girl comforted me. "Jenny, don't worry about her. Her egg pancakes are expensive and taste terrible. Her bad business is her own fault." I cheerfully replied, "In that case, I'll give you an extra egg for free." This girl was a regular customer. She knew I sold pancakes to earn my tuition money and even brought her friends to support me. She was truly a beautiful and kind high school student. A teasing male voice chimed in. "Little boss lady, you're quite generous." I looked towards the sound. It was a tall, handsome young man with flirtatious eyes and a playful smile. He was quite stylish, wearing a black patterned shirt that made many girls blush and retreat. Too bad I wasn't interested in that kind of pancake. I only noticed the dazzling gold watch on his wrist and the sleek luxury car parked behind him. I'd rather earn my own money than depend on sweet talk. I smiled brightly. "Big bro, want a pancake? Cheap, delicious, and practical? Then give me one with lots of toppings." "All right." He suddenly looked at me with a knowing glint. "I like this girl, but I'm not the eldest brother, I'm the second." Before I could reply, a middle-aged man stepped out of the car and gently tapped the young man's head. "Kid, I told you to monitor the situation, not stand here buying pancakes." His eyes immediately turned to me, filled with warmth. "You must be Jenny Zhang, right?" I hesitated, nodding. "Yes, that's right. And who are you?" A thick gold bracelet sparkled on his wrist. "I'm your father." 5 minutes later, I understood. Oh, so because of a mistaken identity, I had become the real daughter of a millionaire. My biological father put his large gold chain on my wrist. "Just by looking at you, I know you're my daughter. You've worked hard and endured hardships and you have a business mind. You won't have to suffer anymore, your father has some money now." 2 other people also stepped out of the car. My biological mother's eyes welled with tears. "Daughter, come home with Mom." A girl in a white dress anxiously supported her, casting a deceptively gentle gaze towards me. "Little sister, Mom is sad enough already." "Don't make her angry. Please come home with us." Seeing her face, identical to that of my foster mother, Mrs. Zhang, I sneered. "Whose sister are you supposed to be? Contemptible." I'd been fending for myself in society for years. These little fairies aren't skilled enough to put on an act in front of me, are they? Hide the resentment and malice in your eyes before you try to play the loving sister with me. My biological mother rushed to intervene. Jenny, how can you speak to Vivian like that?" "It wasn't her fault, she was taken by mistake. You are both my good daughters." I frowned slightly. I was taken back to the Song family home, now as their real daughter. I also had 2 brothers living there. Aiden Song, the eldest brother, 25 years old, was mature and calm, considered the heir to the Song group. Daniel Song, the younger brother, 22, was intelligent and quick-witted but lived a wild life, enjoying places of entertainment. The stylish young man in the patterned shirt who had bought pancakes from my cart was my younger brother, a true playboy. According to him, the eldest brother couldn't come due to busy work. Daniel was amiable towards me, asking many questions during the drive. I was carsick and could only manage a few simple replies. In contrast, Vivian Song, sitting next to me, reprimanded me. "Jenny Zhang, you're being so impolite. Daniel is talking to you. This ill-mannered attitude will disappoint Mom." My mother, in the passenger seat, looked awkward and disappointed, glancing at me through the rearview mirror, seemingly agreeing with Vivian's words. I looked at Vivian with a cold gaze. Which mother is disappointed? My biological mother, who was separated from me for many years, or your asterisk biological mother, Mrs. Zhang? You were the one who beat and scolded me, abandoned me, never sent me to school, and made me work to earn my tuition fees like this. Frankly, it's a miracle I'm only scolding you instead of blaming you. Go ahead and laugh all you want. The car suddenly fell silent. My mother looked at me with pity and remorse. I lowered my face, avoiding her gaze, feeling a lightness in my heart. My father quickly drove, wanting to mediate. Vivian, your sister is carsick and not feeling well. Don't bother her anymore. Vivian pursed her lips and looked out the window. Daniel secretly gave me a thumbs up, shaping his mouth to form the word awesome. I smiled at him. This is just the beginning. I have much more to reveal. My father suddenly stopped the car, his expression a mix of surprise and joy. My dear daughter, what's wrong? I feigned 2 drops of tears. My foster mother, Mrs. Zhang, has been ill recently and needs care. After all, she raised me. Daniel immediately added, her biological daughter isn't lost, so filial piety isn't her responsibility. This time, I secretly gave him a thumbs up. My mother shot him a displeased look. Daniel Song, what strange things are you saying? You have no control over your mouth, my father chimed in. Daniel is right. After all, Vivian is someone else's biological daughter. We can't bring our own daughter home and then keep someone else's daughter too. Vivian's face instantly turned pale. I spoke in a gentle, white lotus tone. Sister Vivian, if you don't want to, I'll go take care of Mrs. Zhang. Mom and Dad, even though she's not as wealthy as you and wasn't always kind to me, I believe it's human nature to be grateful and repay kindness. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for teaching me the right values. My clever words moved my father almost to tears. Indeed, you are my daughter. Even in difficult circumstances, you emerge untainted by the mud. My mother was also touched by my eloquent words, her tone softening. She said to Vivian, Vivian, what about your biological mother? Vivian pouted, tears streaming down her face. Mom, please don't send me away. For all these years, I've always been your daughter. Now suddenly I have a biological mother, I'm so confused. My mother sighed, saying nothing further. After all, one was a daughter she had raised for many years, while the other was just a pancake-selling girl she had only recently met. Despite the blood ties, long-term emotional bonds couldn't be instantly dissolved. Daniel suddenly interjected with something seemingly unrelated. The magpie is so pitiful. My father hadn't heard clearly. What did you say? The cuckoo occupied the magpie's nest. The poor magpie inside, its nest taken, can't go home. My mother irritably said, Silence. If you don't speak, no one will tell you to shut up. If you keep making trouble, get out of the car. In the end, Daniel was indeed kicked out of the car. I insisted on getting out, citing car sickness and the need for fresh air, so I joined him. Daniel comforted me. It's all right, it's just a 20-minute walk home. I shrugged. What's 20 minutes? I used to walk 20 miles straight. Daniel had transformed from a lazy young master into a mature and thoughtful individual. He patted my head and said, It's okay, I'm here now. From now on, I'll take care of my little sister. Just tell me if anything happens. I looked at him, touched. Can you give me some money? Daniel happily replied. Of course, how much do you want? 200,000. Daniel's bright smile immediately turned serious. He withdrew his hand from my head, his expression tense. Little sister, even though I hate that green tea bitch too, hiring someone to harm others is illegal. We can't do that. I didn't know what to say to his assumption. Brother, I need this money to save someone. 10 minutes later, after I had explained everything, Daniel pulled a bank card from his pants pocket. There's 200,000 in here. Take it and save that person. The Song family was very wealthy. Their large villa was nestled on a mountainside. Back at home, lunch was already prepared, everyone seated, just waiting for Daniel and me. I met my eldest brother, Aiden Song. He wore a serious suit, his long fingers gently adjusting the golden glasses on his nose. His gaze, piercing through the lenses, never left me. I calmly met his stare, my heart unwavering. His eyes held an unpleasant look, as if he were looking at an intruder. Vivian Song suddenly rose, startled like a frightened white rabbit, her eyes red-rimmed, her voice choked with tears as she bowed and apologized to me. I'm sorry. It's all my fault for making you angry and getting you to leave the car. Don't worry, I'll move out right away and leave Mom, Dad, and my brothers to you. Before I could react, Aiden Song couldn't sit still. He sadly stroked Vivian's head, then glared angrily at me. No one can make her leave, not even you. What an unbelievable pair. Truly speechless. Since I walked through the door, I hadn't uttered a single word, yet now I was being falsely accused. I patiently retorted, "Excuse me, did I ever say I would kick her out? She and I only met in the car, and Mom, Dad, and Daniel were all present. They can vouch for me. I got out because I was carsick. I don't understand why you have to put on a pitiful drama in front of our eldest brother to slander me and damage our sibling relationship." As the proverb says, a harmonious family makes everything smooth, yet you want to sow discord within the Song family. Why? Vivian's cheeks flushed crimson, her eyes brimming with tears, stammering speechless. I rolled up my sleeve, revealing clear bruises. Aiden Song, look closely at how your precious little sister was treated by Vivian's biological mother. She lived a life of luxury while I struggled to survive for 18 years, devoid of family affection. What right do you have to judge me? My parents' expressions turned tense, their gaze unhappy as they looked at Vivian and Aiden. I discreetly squeezed out a few tears, trying to appear resilient. Daniel hugged me, stepping forward to protect me, looking coldly at Aiden Song. "You should think carefully before you speak. Do you manage your employees like that at the company?" Aiden's face instantly changed color. He looked towards our father, but unfortunately, our father wouldn't even spare him a glance. I lifted my head from Daniel's embrace and kindly suggested to Vivian, "If you said you want to leave, then please do so. Get out of my sight and avoid causing me trouble." Vivian's expression clearly shattered. "All right, Jenny, don't say anything spiteful anymore." Seeing her mother defend her, Vivian breathed a sigh of relief. Daniel pouted, showing his displeasure. "Mom, you're biased." My mother glared at him, then gently said to Vivian, "Vivian, Jenny is home now. The room prepared for her should be returned to her." Daniel's irritated expression immediately vanished, replaced by unspeakable joy. Seeing Vivian stunned, Aiden felt another pang of heartache. "Mom, how many guest rooms do we have? Just choose one for Jenny. She's just returned. She needs time to adjust. Vivian's been in her room for so long, she's used to it. Doing this will only make both of them uncomfortable." Suddenly, Daniel whispered and gave my arm a strong pinch, making me yelp, tears welling up. Immediately, all eyes turned to me. Daniel shook his head, feigning regret. "Just one word, miserable. Wandering outside for 18 years, and now she's isolated with nowhere to live." He patted my back, comforting me movingly. "Little sister, cry it out. It's not your fault. Cry away all the pain and sadness." This was the first time my biological mother had seen me cry so much. She didn't even scold Daniel, but rushed to my side, carefully wiping my tears with a tissue. My father, with an authoritative gesture, waved his hand, declaring, "It's decided." Then he instructed the butler to immediately clean the young lady Jenny's room. He glanced at his eldest son with a slight smile, but his eyes held no joy. "Act according to your status. Your lack of clear distinction disappoints me. How can I confidently hand over the company to you?" Aiden Song dared not object. The meal proceeded in an unusually silent atmosphere, everyone looking serious, each with their own thoughts. Sure enough, the butler worked very efficiently. After the meal, Vivian Song's belongings and designer handbags had been moved out of the room, piled in a small heap outside the guest room door. I touched the smooth rosewood wardrobe, placed my simple bag of clothes inside, and cheerfully said to Vivian Song, "My clothes are really sparse. If there isn't enough space in your guest room, can you put them in my wardrobe?" Her expression became uncomfortable, as if she had swallowed something hard to digest. She showed her displeasure even in the presence of my biological parents. My father handed me a bank card and said, "There's 100 million in here, Jenny. You can use it to buy more clothes." They worried I wasn't used to the life of a young lady, so they didn't forget to remind Daniel, "You've been idle for too long. Now that your sister is home, remember to take care of her." Daniel boldly raised his hand. "Mom and Dad, where's my card then?" My mother pointed him away, subtly dismissing him. In the room, Daniel sat bored, chin in hand, watching me unpack. "Little sister, why are you still folding those old rags of yours? Mom and Dad told me to take you to the mall to buy new clothes." I paused, asking curiously, "I notice you really dislike Vivian. Did you already know she wasn't our biological sister?" Daniel pulled out a book, avoiding my gaze. "You wouldn't understand a man's intuition." I couldn't help but burst out laughing. "So, according to you, our eldest brother is a eunuch?" Daniel was slightly surprised, then laughed even harder. "Don't say that, don't tell anyone outside." I said frankly, "Why do I get the feeling you and he have a grudge?" Daniel exhaled sharply. "I just don't like the way he spoils her, always trailing after her, calling out 'brother, brother.' It gives me goosebumps. Anyone who didn't know would think they were a couple. As soon as he finished, we looked at each other, speechless. I had just returned home and could already sense it, let alone Daniel, who had lived here for so long. Recalling the way Vivian and Aiden behaved, it truly had the feel of a forbidden romance. The power of money was indeed immense. Under the Song family's arrangements, I returned to school, enrolling in the top class of the senior high division at Aristocrat Academy. What annoyed me was that Vivian Song also studied there and was even in the same class as me. On the first day of school, Daniel Song deliberately chose a dazzling red sports car from the garage, insisting on driving me to school. "Isn't this a bit much, bro? This is called making an entrance," he said. Reality proved his decision right. When everyone saw that it wasn't the butler who opened the door for me, but Daniel himself, the surrounding gossip immediately changed. The roar of the engine as Daniel drove the sports car away couldn't drown out the buzzing whispers. Who said Jenny Zhang was adopted? Look, even a young master like Daniel Song personally drove her here. That rumor must be true. What? What rumor? Oh, the one about the baby swap years ago. Jenny Zhang is the Song family's real daughter, and Vivian Song is the fake one who's shamelessly refusing to leave, now becoming the Song family's adopted daughter. Indeed, everyone at Aristocrat Academy came from prestigious backgrounds, and even their gossip was grand, discussing it right in front of me. Vivian Song's face turned visibly green with anger. She yelled, "Are you all busybodies who can't mind your own business? Shut your mouths." Beside Vivian Song was her best friend, Chelsea Chu. The clothes Chelsea was wearing were ones I had seen Vivian wear before. Chelsea couldn't hide her disdain for me, rolling her eyes and declaring, "No wonder she's just a pancake vendor. She smells of pancakes all over. No matter how well she dresses, she can't hide her peasant-like demeanor." Everyone around stopped gossiping, turning to watch the impending battle. When it came to verbal sparring, I had never lost to anyone. I calmly retaliated. "Well, at least I'm not acting like a dog." "Those clothes she's wearing? Vivian wore them, called them ugly, and only gave them to her after they were worn out. What a coincidence, I just happened to witness that." Vivian anxiously tried to explain. "Don't believe her." I smiled faintly. "Some people think they own high-end designer clothes without a label. Who knew the label was cut off before she wore it? What a coincidence, I also overheard her calling Chelsea Chu to make up stories about the clothes having no labels." Chelsea Chu shot Vivian an angry look, then stormed off. "Oh, it's true. In prosperity, you call them friends. In adversity, you call them enemies. This kind of golden sand friendship is truly fragile, unable to withstand any test." Before official classes began, it was time for self-introductions. I took a deep breath and stepped onto the podium. Whispers erupted from the audience. "Is she the new student?" "Yeah, I heard she used to sell pancakes." Dying of laughter. "So she came from the slums?" Seeing the satisfied look on Vivian Song's face, I ignored the surrounding chatter, rolled up my sleeve to reveal the scars on my arm. "Frankly," I smiled and said, "as everyone can see, I've walked a long and difficult path, enduring much suffering to stand here today. The rumors aren't wrong. I did sell pancakes, but I don't consider it shameful. My foster mother raised me alone, constantly beating and scolding me, even kicking me out on cold nights. I often wondered why other mothers loved their children, while mine was completely different. She cut off my tuition money, forcing me to drop out. When my peers were safely attending school, I had to earn my tuition with my own two hands. Is that shameful? No. I confidently say that I've lived an upright life and have far more experience with human nature than any of you here. Heaven has given me the chance to return to my biological parents, to feel family love like everyone else. I don't glorify hardship, but I will never yield to difficulties. The challenges I've faced will ultimately light my path forward. Life is vast, and meeting each other is destiny. I am Jenny Zhang. It's an honor to know you all." True sincerity is unbreakable. Applause erupted in the auditorium. The wealthy children, who had never experienced hardship, were moved, tears welling in their eyes. Even the serious homeroom teacher secretly turned away to wipe her tears. This school for the elite highly valued family background and education. Selling pancakes in their eyes was a lowly act, unfitting for their status. But Vivian Song never expected that my frank revelation of my past would earn me everyone's respect. Someone spoke up, boldly and generously on my behalf. The mother is addicted to abuse, and the daughter shamelessly takes someone else's place. What a wonderful mother-daughter pair. A single stone thrown, stirring up waves. Whispers and chatter erupted nearby, all reaching Vivian Song's ears, making her, who had been expecting a good show, extremely uncomfortable. HMPH, this was just the beginning. What would truly make her lose face was yet to come. Back home, Vivian Song saw an uninvited guest in the living room. Her face changed. "Who let you in here? Get out." Mrs. Zhang looked displeased. "Why can't I be here?" Daniel joked. "Have you two met before?" Vivian hastily denied it. "No, we haven't." Mrs. Zhang remained silent, her lips tightly pressed. Seeing this, Daniel and I exchanged glances. The private detective hadn't been wrong, the two of them had indeed known each other beforehand. According to the information, Vivian Song avoided Mrs. Zhang like the plague, hating any association with her. Meanwhile, Mrs. Zhang, all year round, only cared about gambling and money. Vivian had been threatened by Mrs. Zhang with her identity, and over the years had given her a substantial amount of money. Secrets, after all, couldn't be kept forever. With her true identity exposed, Vivian Song completely lost patience with Mrs. Zhang. She had unilaterally cut off all contact with her. When she received Daniel Song's invitation, Mrs. Zhang was overjoyed, quickly packed a few clothes, and followed him. She saw me and immediately barked, "Girl, why aren't you bringing my things in quickly?" Daniel cleared his throat loudly, and she instantly stopped talking. "Quiet." I smiled and stepped forward. "The Song family is looking for a maid. The salary is $10,000 a month. If you agree, you can stay. Otherwise, you can leave." Mrs. Zhang's and Vivian Song's expressions changed immediately. Daniel continued, "Our family doesn't keep useless people. We're only considering you because you're Jenny's foster mother. Otherwise, with your qualifications, you would have been eliminated from the start." Mrs. Zhang's money had long since dried up on gambling, which is why I discussed with Daniel about hiring her as a maid. Vivian wanted to escape her biological mother, didn't she? I just wanted them to fight it out. Mrs. Zhang hesitated a little, looking awkward. "If I'm to be a maid, I'll need a month's salary in advance." Vivian was anxious. "I don't agree," Daniel happily said. "It's just 1 month's salary in advance. Of course, that's fine. Aunt Zhang, I'll show you to your room." Mrs. Zhang paid no mind to her biological daughter's awkwardness, happily following him into the guest room. That evening, my biological parents and eldest brother returned home. Seeing the charred dishes on the table, they frowned. "Who cooked dinner?" Mrs. Zhang, in the kitchen, quickly swallowed the last mouthful of bird's nest soup, donned an apron, and rushed out. "I cooked." Aiden Song glared at Daniel, who was clearly enjoying the show. "Hold on, why did you bring someone like this home?" Vivian bit her lip tightly, her eyes red-rimmed. I quickly interjected. "Eldest brother, how can you say that? Aunt Zhang isn't someone like that. She's Sister Vivian's biological mother. Look how much they resemble each other." Aiden Song then realized Vivian's mood was off and immediately lowered his voice. "Such a big matter, why wasn't it discussed with the family first?" "Aunt Zhang missed her daughter and wanted to stay for a few days," I said, deliberately not specifying which daughter. Everyone fell silent. How Mrs. Zhang had treated me? They had learned that on the very first day I came home, from the scars on my arms. Sure enough, that evening, when I got up to pour water, I overheard my father grumbling to my mother. "Do you really think a person with a snake's heart like her would miss Jenny?" My mother mumbled. "Then who is it?" "Vivian," my father scoffed. "They haven't even met. It must be for money. I don't know what kind of spell she cast on you and our eldest son to make you both so gullible. Our real daughter is back, yet I haven't seen you two acting so close to her." My mother argued, "Scientific research shows genetics account for 40% and environmental factors account for 60%. The environment greatly affects a person. Vivian was raised by me since childhood, while Jenny has been wandering outside for many years and even followed Mrs. Zhang. Don't underestimate her just because she's young. She gives me the feeling of a cunning and manipulative businesswoman." I heard no more after that. A biting cold wind blew through my almost empty chest. Less than 10 days after I moved into the Song family home, Mrs. Zhang came to me to borrow money. I bluntly said, "I don't have any money." Mrs. Zhang didn't believe me. "How can that be? Your biological parents are so rich. I heard Vivian say that the handbag they bought her casually cost tens of millions." I feigned surprise. "Really? I heard that these luxury handbags can hold their value like gold. They can be sold for a high price." Mrs. Zhang's eyes darted around. Before leaving, she didn't forget to warn me, "Don't tell anyone about me borrowing money, especially Vivian." I nodded in agreement. After the short holiday, returning to school, everyone looked at me strangely, their scrutinizing gazes focused on my lower abdomen. Vivian Song had initially been whispering something to Chelsea Chu. Seeing me approach, the two quickly separated, Chelsea Chu's side glance once again filled with disdain. Tusk, these two are at it again. I narrowed my eyes, wiggling my fingers at her. Keep staring, and I'll gouge them out right now. Chelsea Chu stamped her foot in anger. You barbarian, I smiled faintly. So what? Is there something about me that you should be concerned about, ma'am? Provoked by me, Chelsea Chu launched into a tirade. You dare ask me about your petty affairs? So young and already visiting the obstetrics and gynecology department. Who knows if you hooked up with some wild man while selling pancakes outside? Obstetrics and gynecology department? Chelsea Chu, full of vigor, held up a photo being circulated on the school's confession page. In the blurry image, a corner of my face could be seen, with a hospital in the background. The 3 words obstetrics and gynecology on the department sign were clearly visible. In the photo, I was holding a test result, waiting on a chair in the hallway. Seeing Vivian Song's guilty expression, I burst into laughter. Chelsea Chu was furious. You still dare to laugh. If Uncle Song and Aunt Song find out, you'll be kicked out immediately. I laughed because of Tram Can Sin Tin asterisk. She looked bewildered, not understanding. I kindly explained, Tram Can Sin Tin, you've taken 2 words from it. It means beast. The people around understood and chuckled. She called you a beast. Chelsea Chu was so angry she glared, speechless. Miss, I calmly replied, yes, I did indeed go to the obstetrics and gynecology department, but I went with someone else. I went with, the eavesdroppers craned their necks. I deliberately paused, building suspense. When I saw that everyone was sufficiently hooked, I slowly enunciated each word. Vivian Song. Isn't that how rumors are fabricated? I know how to do it too. A collective gasp of astonishment erupted from the crowd. Vivian Song, whose name was called, immediately shrieked. You're talking nonsense. I wasn't even in the obstetrics and gynecology department at that time. I was taking pictures outside. Everyone's expressions varied. I was so amused by her stupidity that I burst out laughing. So, you took the picture, and you're also the one who fabricated the rumors about me? She suddenly realized, falling silent. Someone frankly said, people like Vivian Song are truly terrifying, always playing tricks behind people's backs, yet she still genuinely believes she's a young lady of the Song family. Exactly, her moral character is problematic. Another classmate, unable to bear it any longer, stood up. Now's your chance to clarify everything, otherwise, who knows what other crazy rumors they'll spread later. I believe you. I took a deep breath. Thank you, everyone. The person I went to the hospital to see was the most important person in my life before. On a cold winter night in high school, Mrs. Zhang, drunk, kicked me out of the house. I wandered until I stopped in front of a pancake cart. I hadn't eaten dinner, my stomach was rumbling, but I didn't have a penny. The pancake vendor was a woman in her early 30s with a warm smile on her face. Little sister, would you like a pancake? I awkwardly swallowed, inhaling the tempting aroma, then replied with an embarrassed smile, Sister, I don't have any money. The woman's eyes were gentle. It's okay, consider it my treat. On that cold, desolate winter night, under the faint yellow streetlights, the small tricycle stall emitted warm steam from the food. In front of the stall, the woman kept murmuring stories. Beside her, a young girl was hunched over, eating ravenously, listening intently. The woman said, You can call me Mrs. Yang. Mrs. Yang bowed her head and explained that her husband had died after falling from scaffolding at a construction site. Her mother-in-law took all the compensation money and kicked her and her daughter out of the house. Mrs. Yang took out her cracked phone to show me a picture of her daughter. Her name is Annie. I don't expect her to be exceptionally brilliant, just for her to be safe and sound. As long as she's healthy, my life will be full of hope. The 3-year-old girl with 2 small pigtails looked very much like Mrs. Yang, with a warm smile on her face. Countless times I was driven out of my house. It was the never-darkened light of Mrs. Yang's pancake stall that brought me some comfort. By age, she could only be considered my elder sister, but she gave me the same tolerance, encouragement, and warmth as a mother. Many times, when Mrs. Zhang refused to give me tuition money, it was Mrs. Yang who timely helped me resolve urgent difficulties. All my pancake-making tools and techniques were taught by her. A month before I was taken in by the Song family, 5-year-old Annie was diagnosed with leukemia. The doctor said that if conservative treatment was pursued, the total estimated cost would be 200,000 yuan. I went to the hospital to visit them. Mrs. Yang had lost a lot of weight but was still full of determination. Annie politely called me Auntie and obediently sat on her hospital bed, drawing the secret garden I had given her. Mrs. Yang looked at Annie gently. As long as there's a glimmer of hope, I won't give up. Even if I have to sell everything I own, I must cure my Annie's illness. The time Daniel Song and I walked home was when I went to borrow money for Annie's treatment. When I gave Mrs. Yang the card, it was the first time I saw her break down into sobs. She hugged me tightly, warm tears streaming down her face. Thank you, Jenny. Without you, I truly wouldn't know what to do. Consider this money a loan from me. I will definitely repay it later. It was much later that I learned that on that very day, Mrs. Yang had bought medicine for herself. Because of one thing after another, the treatment costs for her daughter's leukemia were still unfunded, and she had also been diagnosed with a uterine problem. Mrs. Yang, who had always been strong, for the first time contemplated death. I brought the life-saving money to break through this deadlock. Afterward, with my persistent accompanying, Mrs. Yang finally gathered the courage to get examined. The video Vivian Song secretly took was precisely of me accompanying her for her follow-up appointment. The righteous and kind rich girls couldn't sit still, wiping away tears with tissues and holding my hand, saying, "If Mrs. Yang and Annie still need help, please let me know. I have an uncle who's the director of a pediatric hospital, and I can contribute money." Young people's emotions are easily stirred. In an instant, I was surrounded by enthusiasm. I hastily thanked everyone for their kindness. Later, when Mrs. Yang resumes selling, please come and support her. Yes, definitely. I'll buy the first pancake of my life from Mrs. Yang's stall. Glancing over, I saw Vivian Song stealthily trying to slip away from the crowd. I took a quick step and lunged forward, grabbing her arm. Now it's time for us to settle scores. She began to play the role of the weak green tea bitch. I'm sorry, it was just a temporary misunderstanding. I also heard malicious rumors from others, so I pressed her relentlessly. Who were these others? She stammered, unable to speak. I raised my voice. I kindly helped you two mothers and daughters reunite, and the result is that you two have dirty hands and even want to ruin my reputation. I raised my phone and played a surveillance video, which showed her and Mrs. Zhang sneaking around outside my room. I projected it onto the large screen in the classroom, with the volume at maximum. Vivian Song, it's so easy for you to steal my bag, why don't you dare steal from her? Mrs. Zhang was indignant. What stealing? You're my biological daughter. What's wrong with me selling it to cope with an emergency? Don't forget, if I hadn't intentionally swapped you two back then, you would never have lived this kind of rich young lady's life. Vivian Song's face darkened. You always bring that up. The money I've given you over the past 5 years is enough for you to buy a small shop and run a decent business, but you have no ambition. Mrs. Zhang's voice softened. Yes, I know I'm wrong, Mom knows. This is the last time. Please help Mom one more time. Vivian Song poked her head out to look at the deserted hallway, like a weasel slipping into my room. Last time, I saw Daniel Song give her a pink diamond. It looked very valuable. Finally, both of them contentedly walked out of my room, holding an exquisite gift box. The entire hall buzzed with excitement. Oh my God, this is too explosive. So she knew all along she wasn't the Song family's biological daughter. The corner of my mouth curled slightly. That pink diamond had been swapped. It was a fake, not even worth mentioning compared to the real one. The day I moved into the Song family home and unpacked my things, Daniel Song grumbled about our eldest brother. I just simply don't like the way he spoils that green tea bitch. Anyone who didn't know would think they were a newlywed couple. As soon as he finished speaking, we looked at each other, speechless. A bold idea popped into my head. How about installing surveillance cameras in my room and the hallway outside my door? After all, on this floor, besides me, there's only Aiden Song. In other words, if Aiden Song and Vivian Song were truly developing feelings for each other back then, the space would be extremely convenient. Regarding my move into this room, Aiden Song was the most vehemently opposed. This made it hard not to be suspicious. Unexpectedly, these cameras truly captured quite a few things. What I showed at school was just the tip of the iceberg. When watching the replay, Vivian Song was in Aiden Song's room for half an hour, then blushed, hastily wrapping herself in clothes and escaping back to her own room. My father slapped Aiden Song's face hard. You beast! My mother trembled with anger. She's your sister. Aiden Song stiffly argued. She's not blood-related. What's wrong with it? We have true love. Daniel seized the key point. So you knew all along she wasn't our biological sister, didn't you? Mrs. Zhang cowered to one side, not daring to breathe. Daniel turned his attention, smiling humorlessly. Aunt Zhang, the amount you stole is enough to file a police report and open a case. She was so scared she collapsed to her knees. I was wrong. Please, young master, don't call the police. Daniel exuded the decisive aura of a superior, his eyes dark, as if they could drip water, as he recalled Jenny's tearful pleas. Please don't hit her, Auntie. Have you ever shown any humanity? Mrs. Zhang was like a pile of mud, her eyes vacant, soft, lying limp on the ground. Mrs. Zhang was taken away by the police for intentional theft. Aiden Song was expelled from the house, and at the same time, his management rights over the company were revoked. My biological mother felt extremely guilty towards me. She compensated me with money, but most of the money she gave me I used for investment, specifically, investing in Daniel Song. He only seemed aimless, but in reality, the number of subsidiary companies he had nurtured was astonishing. Previously, the whole family only complained that he spent money like water, but they didn't know his true intention was to open companies. In this family, my most trustworthy person was him. Vivian Song completely disappeared from my world. I only knew that under Aiden Song's protection, she didn't go to prison. A year later, Aiden Song returned, looking haggard. His shirt was rumpled, his beard scruffy, his face gaunt, looking like a small, old man. Daniel Song, who had become the new CEO of the Song Group, was radiant with ambition. He didn't hesitate to bring up the past. Oh my, were you really fooled by that green tea bitch? Aiden Song buried his head in his hands, weeping. My biological mother glared at Daniel, then softly said, "Quiet." In truth, everyone knew that for over a year since moving out, Aiden Song had been living with Vivian Song. Until a few days ago, Vivian Song discovered she was pregnant. She looked demurely, "Husband, I'm pregnant?" There was no joy as she had imagined. In Aiden Song's eyes was disbelief, then it turned to angry shame. "Whose child is it?" Vivian Song, full of confidence, "Yours, of course. We didn't use protection last month." Aiden Song laughed bitterly, self-mocking. "I'm sterile." It was Vivian's turn to be speechless. She had listened to Mrs. Zhang, firmly believing that if she could just get pregnant with a child of the Song family, she could completely cling to this powerful tree. As soon as she discovered she was pregnant that very night, she actively sought ways to obtain a birth certificate for the baby in her womb. No matter whose child it was, this baby absolutely had to be hers. "Aiden, listen to me explain." Aiden Song yelled hoarsely, "What more is there to explain?" He threw his phone over, his voice trembling. "That video, that was you, wasn't it?" Vivian Song's eyes welled with tears. "I know I was wrong. I was just momentarily confused, seeking excitement. Please, I beg you to forgive me this one time. I'll abort the baby. Can we start over?" Aiden Song naturally couldn't start over with her. Because of his infatuation, he had lost his family and his career. Much later, Daniel and I chatted. About Vivian Song deceiving him, did you have a hand in it too? Daniel didn't care at all. "I merely pushed the waves. If she couldn't withstand the test, who's to blame?" I patted him twice gently. "Deeply hidden, yet formidable. Turns out you're the legendary fox in sheep's clothing." Daniel curled his lips. That year, at her instigation, Aiden cut the brake cable of my mountain bike. Luckily, I escaped death that time. Later, I realized that being seemingly aimless was the best camouflage to reveal my true talents. We are the same kind of people, intelligent ones who know that a gentleman's revenge is never too late, even after 10 years. He looked at me, extending his hand. "Welcome to my world, little sister."